Howdy folks, Darren Ray Fonso here, and I'd like to talk about workers' compensation and opiates and the war on opiates and how we can't address that war on opiates as a community and as a society if we do not also simultaneously address the war on injured workers that is contributing, as we have found out from one study and done in one state, to 25% of the opioid-related deaths. Yes, that's right. My city, here in the city of Everett, I'm right close to Seattle, Washington, but we're Everett, Washington, USA, for the folks in Canada. My city of Everett is suing the company Purdue that makes OxyContins. And so anyways, that's fine. If they want to do that, more power to them if that's what they want to do. I will not say whether or not I feel if they're going to win or not, but more power to them if that's the way they want to go and spend their time and money. And then, so I'm just curious as to why they can spend their time and money to fight this opioid epidemic, and we have lawyers from my city of Everett spending their time and money to work vigorously to try and sue this huge company. Yet those same lawyers from this community don't want to step up and talk about and address a war on injured workers that is, possibly contributing to 25% of the opioid-related deaths that they say they want to go get some ching-ching for from Purdue. So they will chase the money from Purdue, but they won't chase and help expose and stop a war on injured workers that may be contributing to 25% of the opioid epidemic that they say they want to address. Only if they can address it and get some money in their pockets with it. Where I come from, that's called being a hypocrite. You want to fight for the money for the opioid-related deaths, but yet when we tell you as a community, and one person in this community, this is the kicker, because this is a community in which one of the most vocal and most loudest injured workers in America at this point, aside from the ones that are getting help from the mainstream media. But aside from that, I'm closest, besides a couple others, that are the most vocal about the harm being done to injured workers. And I have screamed out in this same community that says it wants to stand up and sue Purdue for the OxyContin epidemic. Yet they don't, those same noble gentlemen from Republican and the Democrat side, mostly Dems, but none of them want to stand up and fight and address a war on injured workers, like, maybe the governor, Jay Inslee. Why don't you come out and step up? But anyways, you're not the mayor of town. Now we got the old mayor. He didn't want to address the issue, and the new mayor doesn't want to address the issue. But yet they're all for, both of them, suing Purdue. But neither one of them will talk about a war on injured workers. And they even close injured workers out of their Facebook pages because they did not want the issue addressed here in the state of Washington for the last 5 years as one of the WorkComp victims who only had $7 spent on opiates throughout his care because he utilized medical marijuana and then recreational marijuana when it got switched over to that. See, that's the other kicker, is that these same people that want to sue Purdue will stand and fight and will not fight or put legislation forth as a community and as a group to have WorkComp possibly cover the medical marijuana cost, or the medical marijuana cost basically for the injured workers. That seems to me to be a little bit hypocritical. You won't stand up and fight for the medical marijuana for the injured workers, yet you'll go and fight Purdue to make the money. This community in this state is being run mostly by liberals at this point, and aided by allied Republicans, are choosing to wage war. We got the top 33% waging war on the bottom 70% of us, basically, through WorkComp. And now we can trace it back to 20%, 25% of the opioid-related deaths due to a study out of one state that pretty much can be applied to every state. And if you can contribute 25% of the opioid-related deaths to WorkComp, it's not that big of a stretch to conclude that it's probably adding to close to that amount to our homelessness epidemic. That's probably why the U.S. Department of Labor and OSHA told us that it's adding to our income inequality in America. Yet our Democrats and our leaders in my state of Washington and the noble people running it have no intention of standing up and fighting for the minimum federal standards we need that could correct some of this. I think we need to think about this as a community and come together. Why is it that we can do that? The City of Everett, fight Purdue, and spend all your lawyers and your time and your energy for that. Yet when an injured worker in your community was crying out that his human rights are being violated, and he has a case just like a man in Canada's, who the same scenario went down, where we had a psych war waged upon us in our health care and WorkComp, rather than being taken care of. And when it was done in Canada, and the man fought it all the way and had the ability to do so there, I don't have it here, and my community members won't help me to fight it, to get it proved. But nonetheless, when it was done there, it was called a human rights violation. Yet here in the city of Everett and the state of Washington, it's called business as fucking usual. Kick them in the gut, kick them to the curb, get them hooked on fucking opiates, and then stick them through your fucking jails. Get them pissed off because they got doctors lying in the care, and those doctors hide and live behind a set of med tort and WorkComp laws for the harm that they're doing, for the wrongful denials. We have a war being waged upon labor and injured workers and patients' rights. And when this community in the city of Everett can stand up and fight Purdue, but not come out and stand up fight for the injured workers of America, like the one and it doesn't matter if it's here in Everett or it's Timbuktu. We stand up and fight, because an injury to one is an injury to the other. Because if a man's getting $25,000 for an arm, or $35,000 for an arm in Alabama, and the guy in Georgia is getting $750, that's an inequality, and I think we need to address that as a nation and a community, not sit around and say, oh, we can't move. Oh, if we get honest about it. Now that's the kicker. You see, I reached out to members in this community and this state and the liberals of the whole Northwest. Even Tom Hartman, I have been begging for help from, to be shunned. Nonetheless, Sanders has come out, and we have learned that we've got an injured Amazon worker who's living in her car in Texas. Now, I'm sorry. We have people being harmed and hurt on the job and not being taken care of, and being put through a gauntlet and a maze of hell for decades in some cases. And we know this is going on. We have the facts that this is going on, and we have the proofs. And now what we have is a community of hypocrites standing up and fucking the rest of us. Well, you sit around and get paid to fucking go chase Purdue, but you won't fight something that's adding to maybe 25% of those cases, the goddamn broken WorkComp systems. You need to take stock as a community and as human beings and realize how you're harming the others and how those others know it now, and we're no longer going to take it. Have a good day and good luck with your lawsuit, because like I say, I'm not going to weigh into whether I feel like this is a little bit of, well, you had a car, and so because we're going to blame the car makers because you didn't use it right and you killed a bunch of people with it or something, or you had a gun and you didn't use it to shoot rabbits, you used it to shoot shelf or something, or whatever, and so now we're going to blame the maker of that. I think they're stretching it, but their case ain't based on just that. Their case is based on because somehow there was some manipulation where they got some gang involvement with the stuff, and so they might eke out and win something here but it ain't as cut and dry as oh, they were the ones who made the gun. No, it's not that cut and dry. And it may end up to be a fruitless endeavor. And so that's why I find it kind of hypocritical that we can spend that time and spend those wheels and all that energy to head in that direction and get the national press and everybody behind you. But yet you can't get the press behind you as a war is being waged upon injured workers, except for Sanders. And Senator Patty Murray and Senator Sanders, the Clintonite, and whatever you call it, the Bernie-crat, have said we need this to be done at the top. But at the bottom, I've got tired of Vega Gigi Ferguson, and who we got? Tambourine Varelli, and all of them. The whole Our Revolution gang. Tyler Vega, did I mention him? We can't get honest. And gee, you asking us to get honest about that? Here's what Gigi tells me. If you asking us to get honest about the minimum federal standards for injured workers, and you trying to force us into that, you're just trying to get the corporate Dems elected. And then in the next voice, they'll call me, oh, you're just a Trumpster. Well, how can am I trying to get Trump in, or am I trying to get the corporate Dems in? And the thing is, I'm not trying to get either one. I'm trying to get the people running at the bottom to get honest, so we can get shit fixed of what the people at the top told us needs done, but people at the bottom are standing and being blocks to that shit happening. We need some honesty, and that is not happening from my local nobles, the top 33%, who are squishing and oppressing the bottom 70% by not addressing a war that's being waged on injured workers through our WorkComp systems here in America and in Canada. And so when Kashmir Sawant, the socialist, can't tell us about this, and when Jill Stein, the Green Party member, can't come out and tell us about this, what we got is a co-opted government that is ran by business, and these whole movements and all these entities that are running our fucking nation at this point have no intent to stand up and fight for we the goddamn people and the people at the bottom 70%, because you've all got your heads up your asses protecting the business, state WorkComp rates, and a race where we compete to see who can cut the throats of the laborers the most, state by state by state. And then you say, oh, well, we'll fix it. We'll fix it. We'll fix it state here, a state fix there, a state fix there. Oh, well, here's better. Yeah, we got Medicare for all for y'all, and we'll just cost shift y'all off. Then the employers get out of it, and you guys will get helped, and there'll be no problem. No, we won't get broke, and we won't be getting our time lost. And you say, oh, the liberal, or at least the liberals tell us, oh, we've got income for all, and we're going to get you tuition for all, education tuition for all. No, just honor our grand bargain that covers a tuition for all, vocational training, and Medicare, medical care, right out the gate. Stop delaying, denying, and defending, starving, stalling, and then settling for fucking peanuts and pushing people back into jobs. You know are killing them, even fucking more. You ignorant snobs. It needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. God is watching you motherfuckers, for you that seem to fly that fucking flag in our faces. You're either flying Bernie Sanders over here, or you're the other side where you're flying God on the other one, and neither one of you will stand up and speak up for we the goddamn people. As human beings are being put in tents and happy go with signs saying how you're coming to help us, and the other half would kick us in the teeth. We're not fixing shit if we don't get honest. The war is being waged upon us, and the bad thing about this is we got the small business community convinced that they can't get honest about this either, and you people are being hurt just as much as those injured workers, because you're being snagged of the same insurance premiums and cheated out of your workers being taken care of that could be put back in someplace, and they're not, because we're being held up and drug out for years. So this insurance industry, cost containment industry, can all profit, and they go to Las Vegas once a year and have a party in limousines, all getting down because they're getting you better comp rates by cutting the throats of your fucking neighbor that fell off a roof. It needs to stop. The hypocrisy needs to stop, and nothing's going to get fixed if senators, I can always forget the other guy's name. I can't remember his name in town here. Anyways, it's not coming to me. Mike Sells, June Robinson, she's one of my local politicians. Ortiz, she's another person who's one of my local politicians, was even my school nurse for my nurse or whatever, school psychiatric person for my kids at school. They never had to see her, thank goodness, but it's just the point that we got people in this community that are claiming to be holier and holier than thou, and they're looking out for all our best interests. No, you're chasing Purdue dollars. Well, you're not wanting to stop something that is creating 25% of those people dying to start with, which is WorkComp. We could, if we address that, we could cut 25% of those deaths. Because see, you know what? Here, listen to this one, folks. Say you do win your case against Purdue and you get a whole bunch of money. Isn't that great? That'd be awesome. But Is that going to stop the war on injured workers moving forward? No, it won't. We will still have a war being waged upon injured workers, and 25% of us may still be getting strung up in those opiate-related deaths that now you got some money for, but you haven't stopped, except for the fact that you may be yanking the people from the meds to start with, and some of them may need them. And I can tell you injured workers are popping them pills because they're in pain, and they're being fucked by a work comp system that, and a community that is no longer there for them, because 1 in 4 of you, or 3 out of, it only hurts 1 in 4 of you. And so the other 3 say, fuck the one. You need the Pope in this fucking country or something, because you people have lost it. And the top 33%, you are not representing us at the bottom no longer. Not when you leave the injured workers behind. Not when you'll chase Purdue dollars and not stand up and say, hey, let's stop a war on 25% of you to start with. Because like I say, you could win this war on Purdue, but it's not going to stop this war and the opioid-related deaths related to WorkComp at all. And I can tell you, before we had Oxycontins, we had some other drugs that this comp probably was utilizing before that. We have a war, a psych war being waged on people who are already hurt and harmed by other people who want to make some money off trying to shop for that one little reason to not cover the worker, rather than shopping for a reason to help someone, a fellow human being who is harmed, who has paid for you to do so. Doctors, any doctor who's shopping for a reason to lie, to deny, rather than shopping for that sliver of a reason to comply and honor the grand bargain, is an evil human being at this point. And any community backing up those doctors and not allowing us some kind of mechanism besides the state med board to hold them account, because the med board is failing to police these doctors that lie to deny. We need to come together as a community and talk about it. But just to say you're suing Purdue, and all of you are making, what, $260 an hour or something, as you all are fucking down there doing that every day, 360 days a year. So you're making some big bucks. Why don't you use some of them big bucks, and you people with the big, paper on the wall, and you're all making the money from the top 33%, get honest to us about a war being waged upon the bottom of us, because you know what's happening. We're rising up. We're educating each other, and we're no longer going to tolerate it from you people at the top. Good day. You all need to go pray.